Now you're dealing with a lot of illegal immigration also, the same as we are.
Not as bad as you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right.
yeah.
What you go through Mexico is unbelievable.
Oh, it's the conservative estimates are 9 million people over the last 4 years.
Mm.
The upper estimates are more like 21, which I probably would think it's probably more like that because,
Closer to the upper, yeah, than the lower.
but I mean, they're causing all kinds of issues. People are dying. They set somebody on fire in a subway in New York City a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that. It's just terrible. So I don't know. I think that everything's going to change with Trump. What's your viewpoint? I know on Trump is very positive, but for the whole of UK, I mean, did they? It's what we're told here is that most of Europe just hated him and laughed at him. Obviously he's got the Boris Johnson. I just got out of a convertible haircut, but I mean, is that true? Did they actually see him as a buffoon the first 4 years, or is that just kind of our media telling us that stuff?
To our current Prime Minister, you mean?
Do what?
Do you mean our current Prime Minister?
No, no, I'm talking about Trump.
Oh,
Uh,
and Trump? No, no. Again, I think it's very much like America. There's sort of very mixed reaction to him. A lot of people I know love him, and others hate him.
hmm,
My brother lives in the States, and he hates him. You know, he's dreading the Trump years that are coming ahead, which I was very surprised about.
yeah,
But again, Farage has got very similar policies
yeah.
to what Trump wants. You know, he wants to get rid of a lot of the immigrants that come in. He would not allow them. What he's saying, you know, all the people coming in on the boats
Hmm.
under his party, if they come over here, they'll turn around in their boats and then go back again. He will not allow them to land in the UK.
The way it ought to be. I mean, why are you coming and just come in through the front door is what we've always said too. It's like,
Yep.
if you want to be a member of our country, then just do it the legal way. Just like Australia, just like a lot of countries, you can't just waltz in there and say, now it's like squatters' rights. And I'm just going to come in here and say, now I'm here, so you got to
Yeah.
accept me and pay for
Well,
my food or
yeah,
what.
and all the stuff that when you say that you don't want all these illegals coming into the country, they go, "Oh, well, you don't like immigration." No, that's not what I said.
Not
There is a
racist.
difference.
I mean, I lived in Australia and New Zealand for nearly 18 years between the two countries, and their immigration policy was brilliant.
Yeah,
Without trying to be a racist.
right.
When I first arrived, I can't remember if it was Australia or New Zealand now. This is about 1970, 71. You never ever saw a black face.
Hmm.
Um, White only. There was very much a white only policy in Australia. Australia was a very racist country for a long time, and even the
Mhm.
Aboriginals were not allowed in the main cities and towns. They had their
Interesting.
own sort of villages where they were allowed to go. If they were seen in main cities, they'd be thrown out. I
Wow.
think it's changed a lot, but they were very, very racist. I've never seen like it in my life before. New Zealand wasn't quite so bad, but New Zealand was very, very strict on how many people could come in.
I used to listen to a radio station out of Sydney when I was working, 2GB, I think it is, out of Sydney. And they
UGB,
were, yeah, and they used to talk about the racism that was going on in Sydney. It wasn't so much against the Aborigines, it was more against like the Chinese. And because the Chinese were kind of starting to migrate down there because their policies got so strict and so weird that they were leaving and coming into Australia. But yeah, I mean, there's racism everywhere. Get over it. But I mean, if you're going to come into a country, I think Australia, and I wasn't so sure about New Zealand's immigration policy, but I know that you have to prove that you're going to be an asset to their economy and to the
hmm
people of the country. What is wrong with that? That's not racist. That's just being selective.
Yeah. Actually, the New Zealanders are very grateful to the Chinese because I assume you've heard of kiwi fruit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
kiwi fruit is called Chinese gooseberries over there, but when
Huh.
they export it, it's called kiwi fruit. But the Chinese
Interesting.
brought that into New Zealand originally.
I
So
didn't
there.
know that.
Huh.
Well, it's just one of those things that the left tries to throw out every time that you make any kind of policy on immigration. It's that you're a racist and you hate other people and you're xenophobic or whatever you want to say. It's just it's gotten old, and I think people, at least here in America, are tired of hearing about how racist everybody is. And the biggest threat to America was white supremacy. It's like, I don't know any white supremacists. What are you talking about?
Well, I'll confess to you that I was illegal to Australia. I was in New Zealand. I came back to England I had enough of it. I thought I'd come back to England. And I suddenly got a phone call from a radio station in Australia saying, listen, we've heard all about you. We'd love you to come to Australia to do a breakfast show. And I said, it's very nice of you, but I said, number one, I haven't got really enough money to get back to Australia. And they said, don't worry, we'll pay your fares. I said, that's great, thanks. I said, the only problem is I've got a wife and two children. I also need to get them paid for as well. They don't worry, we'll pay for them as well. So I said, oh, I actually need a house or somewhere to stay because I couldn't afford to buy anywhere. Don't worry, we'll get you a flat or a house. We'll make sure everything's done for you on the condition you're here on Monday. This is all on the Thursday they phoned me. And I said, well, the other thing is also I need X amount of money. And they said, don't worry, we'll do it. You'll get that. So I got everything I wanted. Then realized I can't get into Australia because I haven't got a visa. So what you do in those days, it's changed now, by the way, because I lived in New Zealand for many years. Before that, I was able to go back to New Zealand with no problem, and there's no passport control between New Zealand and Australia. So I get to New Zealand, and I got in that way. So I got there on the Monday and got the job. Okay, but it's there's ways around things then, but not now.
Yeah, yeah. Everything's much more restrictive. Oh my gosh, man.